I didn't want to do things that I normally would do. I didn't go to movies, I didn't listen to music, I didn't play with my son. Life just lost all color. This is my comeback story. I was 51 years old when I really needed help. I ended up having to go in for a heart procedure, and after the heart procedures is when I started really kicking into anxiety and depression because I still had these pains and these sensations. And every time I would get a sensation, which was all day long, I'd be thinking, heart attack, I'm gonna die. My wife's not gonna have a husband, my son's not gonna have a father. And you just can't go on like that. I remember times I would come down in the morning and I would just start crying for no reason. I had no experience with that type of thing, so we had no reference point of what's going on here, what is this? And you know, it's not something you just talk about with everybody. My family didn't know most of what was going on with us. They just know that Steve didn't show up for holidays, and we made excuses and did our best to kind of hide that, but we really didn't know what was going on. And an amazing neighbor said, hey, I think Steve's depressed. Have you guys heard of Rogers? And I made the initial phone call. I gave them my story and they asked a lot of great questions, and then they took that to the medical team and came back with a recommendation for the program. What surprised me about the process that I went through at Rogers was we didn't spend time talking about like, oh, what was your trauma? What was your childhood like? We just went right to work on, okay, what do you want to do tomorrow? What's coming up next week? What's coming up next month? How can we get you to engage in those things? We didn't look at, oh, how can we avoid triggers? Because triggers are going to come up anyway. What we looked at was, okay, when things do occur that are uncomfortable, here's some tools to get you through those moments or those days. I was astounded at how much progress I made in a short amount of time. Before attending the program at Rogers, sometimes I would go into stores and have to leave midway through because I'd have an anxiety attack or panic attack. And now here I am owning a store, and I never would have imagined that I'd even be in a place well enough to do this and thriving. Just the other day, I had customers in here and I had a panic attack, and nobody knew that I had one. I've learned how to overcome those moments, and I've had the thoughts like, I'm gonna close, I can't do this, I'm out. I gotta ask everybody to leave, but I choose to just press on, and eventually that leaves. At some point, we started having customers come in, and I just engage with people and I say, oh, are you from the area? And sometimes they say, no, we're from out of town, and I just casually say, oh, what brings you to town? And every once in a while, someone will mention that they are attending Rogers. I raise my hand and I say, I went there too. And they do a double take and they're like, really? I share my story, and then I just blast them with encouragement and say, you're at the right place, you're gonna do great. And then I say, this is my comeback story. You're gonna have a comeback story too.